Hello, welcome to Democratic Television, TV by Democrats for Democrats. My name is LaKenya Middlebrook, and I will be your host this evening. We are so delighted that you are joining us for this important discussion about Democratic issues, where we've been this year, and where we're going. I'm very excited to be joined by two fantastic guests. There are a lot of people that I love to talk politics with, and these two folks are two of my most favorite people to talk politics with, especially Democratic Party structure, etc. So we're joined by Matt Shears, who is the vice chair of the Knox County Democratic Party and also co-chairs the fundraising committee for the Knox County Democratic Party. And my good friend Troy Weston, who is a very active member of the Knox County Democratic Party. He chairs our election integrity committee and works diligently in all spaces, not just within the party, but in all spaces, around election integrity, around voter protection, voter rights, making sure that we have folks registered and engaged. And I've had the pleasure to work with Troy on a few different committees in that area, and so I'm very, very excited to have both of you all here to talk with us about what's happened in 2019 and what's coming forward in 2020. So thank you guys for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, very excited. And 2020 is going to be an exciting year. I can't believe that decade is over, but it's very exciting to be moving into such an enthusiastic year for Democrats.
I know. It's going to be such an exciting time, and there's going to be so much going on. It's already kind of started, and it feels like we're already full swing into 2020 and have been for several months now, but for it to actually be just a few days away, honestly, is unbelievable, but it's going to be really exciting. We've done a lot of work in 2019 to try to prepare ourselves to get to this place. A lot of doors knocked, a lot of phone calls, a lot of base building and development. And I know that, you've worked quite a bit, Matt, on some of that. Tell us a little bit about some of the work that we were able to do in 2019 that you think was going to prepare us well for 2020.
Yeah, definitely. So at KCDP, we like to say that we don't want to just show up during an election.
Right.
We want to make sure that we have a presence in the community all throughout the year, and off years, on years, whenever we're able to connect with voters. And so this past year, we've engaged a lot of our precinct captains in deep canvassing, which is where you kind of connect with voters and talk about what are the specific issues that they care about, what are ways that they can get involved within their community, ways that kind of touch points for policies that really matter to them. And so we've encouraged all of our precinct chairs, all of our district reps to be sure that they are kind of the boots on the ground, talking to people, knocking on the doors, making sure that they connect with those voters. And in addition to that, we had our city elections this year.
Yes.
And of course, not everyone in KCDP lives in city limits, and city elections are nonpartisan. But what we did is we were very intentional about encouraging folks to get involved in these campaigns, just so it's good experience for them. Again, for canvassing, making phone calls, preparing, doing the work now, so there can be veterans for next year or in a few weeks from now when we'll start engaging in 2020 elections here in Knox County and in the state of Tennessee as well.
Absolutely, and we're going to have a lot of races on the ballot and a lot of opportunities for folks to engage and to vote, and it's really, really important that folks don't get weary because we'll be going in March. It's very important to remember the March deadline this year, the March election this year. A lot of times for our county elections, it's May, but with Super Tuesday and the presidential election, it's going to be in March. So preparing ourselves to hit the ground running in January and prepare for our March elections, and then we have August, and then of course November. And one of the things that I think is really critical for us as a party is to really engage early, engage often, and encourage our neighbors and our friends, our relatives, our co-workers, whomever, to engage at every point in the process, because as we were just saying, it feels like we've been kind of in the throes of 2020 for so long, because the national elections have taken up a lot of energy and space, which is great. It's getting issues out there, it's getting folks engaged and interested, but it also draws a lot of attention toward November, when we really have to also think about March and August too, because the issues that impact our daily lives, those issues are going to be decided in those March and August elections, especially with our local races. And we're really, really fortunate and excited that we've been able to recruit and draw some fantastic candidates who will be on the ballot for our county races. The primaries will be, like I said, in March, starting in February for early voting, and the election day is March 3rd. In District 1, we've got some fantastic candidates. There'll be a contested primary there. We've got, great folks in 2, 4, and 5.
Isn't that a blessing?
It's amazing.
I mean, when you think back to years where you're really trying to beat the bushes to find folks that are interested and willing to undertake an endeavor of the magnitude it takes to run for an office, to have a full slate, that's just wonderful.
And the folks that, what I'm most excited about is seeing who has stepped up. We have folks who have been active and engaged in the community for a long time. We have folks who have, helped start neighborhood associations in their community and kept those going, who are active in their PTOs and in their children's schools, and, folks who have been engaged in issue-based organizations and advocacy-based organizations for a long time, really on the ground doing the work, and to see these folks stepping up to say, you know what, I'm going to take it a step further and really advocate for my community and the issues that are important to me through the legislative process, and I'm going to put myself out there as a candidate. Really, it's a blessing. It really is a blessing. And we're so fortunate to have those folks, and so there's going to be a lot of great opportunities to support those candidates. Of course, we're going to need folks to knock doors. Of course, we're going to need folks to make phone calls. But also, Troy, I think, with the work that you do, a lot of times folks kind of get overwhelmed with what opportunities are out there, and they're like, if I'm not knocking doors, or I'm not making phone calls, or I don't have a lot of money or resources, I don't know how I can help. But I would love to hear from your perspective some ways that folks can actually get involved and participate that they may not normally think of.
Sure. So I think that it's important that we kind of inject an air of collegiality and, frankly, fun into this process, because I understand when folks say, wait, there are 3 elections we have to deal with this year. What am I doing at the second one? Why are we continuing to vote? And so I think that it's important that we as Democrats and we as the party are not only educating folks, but making sure that folks understand that it can be an enjoyable process.
Right.
You are advocating for ways to make your life better, to make your neighbors' lives better. And so from the perspective of being involved with a campaign, I think there's so much that you can do, and sometimes people are very nervous because you're not an extrovert or you've never knocked doors before, and you're worried that you're going to find yourself in a really adversarial role. And my experience in that has always been that you get out there and you make phone calls and you knock doors and you have a great day. Right. I've never come back from it and said, well, what a chore. I've always come back from it and made new friends and had a good time. So that's obviously one way that folks can get involved. But beyond that, the work that I have primarily done with the party has been in the realm of what folks call election protection or election integrity, and that's not the most exciting and colorful world side of elections. That's certainly, if this were a high school dance, we would not be asked to it. But it's so important because we're making sure that we have confidence in our election system. Right. We're making sure that folks have access to the polls. We're making sure that people that want to cast a vote are able to do so. And so if folks are sitting back and wondering, I don't necessarily know any of the candidates, and I don't know that that's the role that I want to inhabit, I don't know that I necessarily want to get out on a campaign. One of the things that the party is always in need of is folks to actually work at the polling locations as poll watchers, which is the Democratic Party is allowed to send a certain number of poll watchers to every precinct at every election, all 3 of them. Right. And we have around 90 precincts in Knox County. Yeah. We have a whole big bunch of precincts, and every single one of them is important to us. So if folks are interested in doing that work, we are going to start training folks within the next couple of months to understand how to do it, to understand how to go in and be able to observe these elections. And if there is a problem, and we hope there's not, right. But if there is a problem, or if someone is having a hard time being able to cast their vote, then we're here to make sure that they're able to do so, and we're able to engage them and help them. But the way we do that is to have somebody at these precincts. And if someone is sitting at home right now saying, I want to be involved, I want to do work, I can't think of much more important work than making sure that there's a level of integrity and confidence in our elections.
Right. And that piece, I think, is something, you're right, it's very often overlooked. It's not, the really glamorous work, but it is so critical in the fairness of our elections and the confidence that people have in participating in the process, because one of the things that you hear over and over is that people feel like the system doesn't necessarily work for them, that their vote doesn't count, that it doesn't matter, that there are barriers to them engaging. And so to make sure that we have protections and integrity at every step of the process is so critical. And it's, we see examples of it all around us when we look at, Georgia in 2018, where there were extensive issues ranging from, purging to folks' registrations not being processed to locations being closed and any other number of issues, and the impact that had on their elections versus, we looked just a couple of weeks ago in Kentucky where they were able to prevent certain people from being purged and registrations to be processed, and the gubernatorial race turned on a few thousand votes, and there were several thousand people whose access to the ballot was protected through those efforts. And so it really is critical.
Absolutely. And when you can look at it from a macro and a macro kind of context. On the one hand, from a macro perspective, elections like Kentucky, the gubernatorial race can turn on a few votes, and the efforts that they are now undertaking to make sure that there is a level of integrity in their elections is really impressive, and something that perhaps, a couple of years ago, if you told me that was going to be happening in Kentucky, I might not have believed you.
Right.
But also, if you look at the macro level, I having done this work for a couple of years, when someone's told they can't cast their vote, when someone's told because of a prior conviction or because they're in the wrong location or whatever, list all the reasons that it could happen, it's so demoralizing.
Right.
Being told that showing up and wanting to participate in our process of government and then being told for whatever reason that you aren't allowed to do so, that sends a very negative message to the voter, and that's something that we want to make sure doesn't happen at all in Knox County. There's not one person that we want to see turned away when they are eligible to cast a vote.
Absolutely. So Matt, what do you see as being some great opportunities for folks to get involved in the 2020 elections?
Yeah, I think there's, in addition to all the things that we've said here, I would say that if you're not already involved in some sort of election role, would be, first of all, to do a little research, to look at the candidates that are running in your specific district in county commission. And a lot of times, particularly in a presidential year, a lot of attention, a lot of energy is given to a presidential campaign, which is good. But we should remember that there's a lot of other down ballot races that are going on too. And so I would say, I'm sure everyone is doing their research on presidential candidates that they would prefer to support. But I would encourage folks to first of all look at people who are running for your state house, look at people who are running in state senate, people who are running in your county commission seats. Do some research on those folks, and then I would say contact those campaigns and see how you can volunteer with them. And then also try and get involved with whoever your precinct chair is. And if you're not sure which precinct that you live in, you can go to Knox County Election Commission's website and figure that out. And then you can go to KCDP's website and figure out who is your district rep and who is your precinct chair, and then just send them an email and say, hey, I would love to get connected, I would love to get involved in some capacity, and then start from there.
Yeah. And also, we try to be really helpful on our end as a party to help connect folks to their districts and their precincts. And so, if you kind of get overwhelmed with the idea of having to go to the Knox County Election Commission website, which is super easy to find. Thankfully, it's not, a huge undertaking. But if you reach out to us, either, to KCDP, either on Facebook, or you can email us at info@knoxvilledemocrats.org and say, hey, I want to get involved. This is where I live. We can help you find how to get connected and how to get involved. And some opportunities that I always think of course, is as we get closer to the election cycle, we have folks coming in and out of our office to get information or to volunteer for candidates, et cetera. And we can always use help in having folks to staff the office, and it seems like something that is a simple task, but it helps so much in us being able to provide the services to not only our candidates, but also our neighbors and friends and voters, so that the office is open for them to be able to get the information that they need. because this work is volunteer driven. And so, we have been fortunate in past election cycles, and absolutely will be fortunate this election cycle to be able to hire field organizers. But our field organizers are just that. They're field organizers. So a lot of their work is in the field. It's not in the office. And so to have, if you have a couple of hours, out of your week that you can come and staff the office and be able to answer phone calls or help with data entry or just be present, that's a huge help. That, like I said, doesn't necessarily seem as glamorous as getting out and knocking on doors or being a candidate or hosting an event, but it's critical to the work that we do. And so that's another great opportunity to get involved. And of course, again, you can email us at info@knoxvilledemocrats.org if you're interested in serving in that capacity, and we'll be more than happy to get you connected and get you scheduled.
That's something I never understood either. Is for years I just assumed that these campaigns were undertaken by a professional staff, and to some extent that's true. I mean, there are certainly people that do this work and people that are going to be affiliated with the campaign and the party, but it is really volunteer driven.
Right.
And so it took me years to realize that there's a space for us to inhabit as volunteers, and it's a big one. And so, I mean, folks sitting at home, they're thinking, well, these issues are important to me, but I don't have a lot of money, or I've got mobility issues, or insert any of the reasons and challenges that mean that it's difficult to volunteer. We can work around all of those things. I mean, the most important thing is that we need your support, and we need your time, and we need your work ethic to come out and to make sure that we're having successful elections.
Yeah. And I think, it's important for everyone to understand that there's work for everyone to do, no matter your ability level, no matter your income level, no matter if, right now we're in the full throes of our county races, and not every district, has a race up or has a candidate in their district, but you can support a candidate in another district. They still need your help. You are somebody who can help knock doors for them, or help make phone calls for them, or help, send postcards, whatever the case may be, even if they're not in your district. And in our August and November races, especially, everyone in Knox County, everyone's state representative is going to be up. And it's important for us to really hone in and support those candidates. There was some maddening things that happened on the state level in 2018 or 2019. And so it's going to take a lot of work on our part to hopefully be able to flip some of those seats and restore a little bit of sanity, hopefully, and start seeing some of the policies that will actually benefit our community. And so there are going to be opportunities for everyone to get involved. And so whether there's a race in March on the ballot in your district, you can get involved right now. Start preparing and getting ready for the races in August that are going to be in your district, and find candidates that you like and support them and help. And of course, like I said, you can always come and help us in the office. Now, Matt, I know that there's some events hopefully coming up that folks can participate in. You want to tell them a little bit about that?
Definitely. So one of our big kind of pushes at the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020 is to increase our supporting memberships. So supporting memberships are folks who make either a one-time or a monthly contribution to KCDP throughout the year. And we call them supporting memberships because they are really the groundwork that supports our work as a party. So these funds are the funds that kind of help us keep the doors open and the lights on in the office. They're the funds that kind of keep the systems and structures of the party working. And so our goal has been to increase those by 10%. 10% in the number of donors. And we've had good success in that so far, actually, in a number of different districts. We've already met that goal. And so one of the big event in 2020 is what we're calling our kickoff event, 2020 kickoff event, and that will be January 10th at Holly's Gourmet Cafe. And so this will be, it's a $10 ticket to attend, and this will count as a supporting membership to the Knox County Democratic Party. So if you already have a supporting membership, then you'll just kind of bump it up by $10. And if you don't have a supporting membership, then this will count as your supporting membership. And so we're looking forward to that. That's a Friday evening, and we're going to have a number of candidates from the county commission races, from state races, and then we're inviting representatives from presidential campaigns to come too. So we're hopeful that some of those representatives will join us. And I think that'll be a really great event. That'll be a kind of a great kickoff to 2020 as we begin that cycle. Another event that we have coming up is we're actually going to do a movie showing at Central Cinema, and it's a movie. It's called Rigged. And it's about voter disenfranchisement and voter suppression, a very serious topic, particularly in recently within certain policies that have gone on in this state, in the state of Tennessee. And so that will be January 18th at Central Cinema, and we're looking forward to that. And that's a free event for anyone involved or anyone in the community at all. And we would love to have anyone and everybody there. And you'll be able to see more about both of these events on our Facebook page, and then we'll be sending out some emails soon too.
And also watch our website for information about events. You can also go to our website, and if any of these interest you and you want kind of some more information about it, again, you can always email us.
Yeah.
Now, shifting gears just a little, Troy, I know we talked some about the importance of election integrity and processes, and there will be some really important changes that we've just kind of gotten.
Indeed.
You and I were fortunate enough to be in a meeting to hear some information about that will be coming up that directly affect our election process. And so we want to start preparing folks to think about that in the context of the 2020 elections. So tell us a little bit about what changes folks can expect.
So if you have lived in Knox County for any amount of time, you are used to our wheel of choice that comes from our voting machines. And you are, you're scrolling until you get to the point where you're casting your vote. That is going away. Yes. So we are now going to have a system that is brought in. So it's from the people that manufactured those voting machines. They have now created a system that we will use that is paper-based.
Right.
So when you come to cast your vote, you will actually get a paper ballot that you will be responsible for marking your choice, and then you will be going to it's a giant scanner, and you just go in, you put your ballot in, and the scanner takes it in, and if there's a problem, it spits it back out to you, and if you've done everything correctly, then it will put the ballot into a lockbox. And so that will be a real change for those of us that have gotten very used to that system that we've had, I think, since 2004, 2006. But we will have a paper-based voting system, so we will have a paper trail that substantiates the election outcome. But it's something that we are taking very seriously, because any change that you have is going to have hiccups along the way, and it's hard to predict what those are going to be. Yeah. So we are going to need poll watchers. We're going to need folks in these precincts to actually make sure that it's working smoothly and people are understanding the process, because while it sounds awfully simple to check who you want to vote for, that's not always the case. And then also making sure that it's effectively cast, because we're going to have a lot of people that are not going to be used to the technology that we're using. So it's very important that we have folks that are volunteering to make sure that this is running appropriately and smoothly. But it will be a paper-based system that will take effect in 2020.
Yeah. And my understanding is that they expect for those for that system to be live, and I guess I don't want to use the term online, but
don't say that.
Don't say online, but to be live and active by the August election.
Yes.
So we will still be using our little wheel in March, but in the August elections we can expect the paper ballot system to go into effect.
Absolutely. And so any concerns that folks are having, they have hopefully, and I believe, thought through a lot of them in terms of folks that need, hearing impaired folks and all the things that you would expect that would come up. They have seemingly thought through those things, but nonetheless, we got to be ready to make sure. I mean, this is a big election. I mean, every election's important,
right?
But in 2020, we're getting some of the most important elections that we've seen in a long time.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that the folks that are going to cast their vote have the appropriate opportunity to do so. So this paper-based system we're excited about, but we need folks to sign up to help us make sure that it's working.
Absolutely. And our understanding is that what we actually viewed, and because you mentioned, folks who may have hearing impairment or some other physical challenge, that there are accessible units that folks can use. So hopefully that will not be a concern. But we want folks to be prepared that there's going to be a change coming.
Absolutely.
And change is hard sometimes. And so we don't want you to be caught unawares that a change is coming. And again, like you said, that we need folks to step up and step in to make sure that our elections are being run in an efficient way. And so this is yet another great opportunity for folks to get involved in the process. As we start to kind of wind down a little bit, we could talk about 2020 for hours. There's so much to talk about. But, because I believe in democracy, I will give you guys a choice of which question you want to answer. I would like to hear from each of you either what you're most excited about and looking forward to for 2020, or what advice you would give others to prepare for being engaged in all that's going to be going on in 2020. So, Matt, you want to start?
Sure. I'll take the most excited. I would say that I'm most excited because kind of what Troy said, I think that this election cycle, not just the presidential election, but the state level races, the county level races, I really believe that this is a very important election and a very pivotal time within our democracy for a number of different reasons, from the federal all the way down to the county and city. And so I am excited that hopefully this will be an opportunity for us as a nation to embrace the best of our democracy, to get out and to vote, to get involved, and to express and live into fully what it means to be the United States of America and to function as a democracy. And so that's what I am most excited about, and I'm looking forward to helping folks participate in that.
Excellent.
I'll take the other question.
Okay.
That way we have answers to both. So what advice I would give to folks? I would say that these are important issues. So it's easy to get fatigued because news cycles are constant and you feel like you just want to hear something that doesn't have to do with politics. But these are the decisions that make a difference in your life from the local level to the national level. And so what I would tell folks is that it is an exciting time to embrace the positivity and the issues, but also realize that it merits your time and it merits your involvement, because these are when you look at your children, they're going to be living with decisions that are made this year, and if that means that you got to go and you got to knock some doors and you got to be involved, that's what it means. And it's fun to do, but I would tell folks to embrace the positivity and be ready for a marathon.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I will take both in the
Great.
interest of fairness. I would tell people to plug into how empowered they actually are. It's very easy in these times and in this work for folks to feel, like we were saying before, that their vote doesn't matter, that the time that they have isn't going to make an impact or a difference. But we've seen over and over and over again races decided by one vote or a few dozen votes or a few hundred votes. And so your vote does matter. The phone calls you make matter. The doors you knock matter. The time that you spend supporting candidates actually matters. And you have something to offer that the rest of us need. And so I would really encourage folks to feel empowered to be a part of this process because we need you. And I think I'm most excited about just the opportunity to have discussions about issues and to make actual change. At the end of this process, we could have quadrupled the number of folks on county commission that are Democrats. We can have a terrific impact in state government. And I'm just excited to see what all we can accomplish. And I'm thankful for you all. I hope that each of you gets involved. And we appreciate all the work that you're doing and are going to do. And we hope you join us next week for another episode of DTV. Thank you, guys.